Good day everyone, welcome again to another episode of tax training, and today I will discuss to you understanding the recording process. Ano po ba itong accounts, ano itong journal, at saka ano po itong ledger, no? Kasi sa nakikita ko, concern talaga po ng iba yung magandang record keeping, kasi diyan po talaga nagmumula yung ating tax compliance. So masasabi ko lang that the heart of tax compliance is bookkeeping. Kasi pag umpisa pa lang ng recording natin, kung may problema na tayo, nakikerry natin yan hanggang sa filing na ng ating income tax return, hanggang sa tax audit. So sanga-sanga na yan. Pero kung maayos yung ating pagre-record ng ating mga business transactions, umpisa pa lang sa ating mga libro, hindi tayo mahirapan, no? So, ano ba itong recording process na tinatawag natin? Ano itong mga accounts? Ano itong mga journal? Ano po itong ledger? No? Kasi manggagaling sa accounts, yun yung umpisa na ano ba, i-classify natin yung ating transactions, anong klaseng account yan. Pupunta tayo ngayon sa journal, doon natin i-record, doon natin i-explain kung anong nangyari, anong ginawa. And then, doon na natin i-summarize sa ledger. No? Kasi doon na natin ilalagay ang mga interest sa isang account, yung dagdag doon, at saka yung bawas, at saka yung balance niya. No? So, ano ba yung accounting process? So, we start with the record transaction in the journal. No? So, umpisa daw sa pag-record ng transaction dito sa journal. And then, yung journal na yan, kung ano yung nirecord natin dito sa journal, sinama natin o pinost natin, nilipat natin dito sa ledger, no? And then we prepare the trial balance. Ano yung trial balance? Yun na yung malalaman natin na tama yung ating mga entries, kasi on every debit meron tayong kinikredit. So tama yung ating mga accounts. So the accounts, the journal, and the ledger, ano po ba sila, no? So the basic summary device of accounting is the account, no? Kaya nga pag nag-umpisa ka talaga, i-define mo muna kung ano yung mga accounts na yan, no? So account is the detailed record of all the changes that have occurred in a particular asset, liability, or owner's equity during a specified period, no? So yung accountant records transactions first in the journal, which is the chronological record of transactions. Anong ibig sabihin ng chronological record of the transactions? Ito yung sunod-sunod, no? Hindi pwede na hindi sunod-sunod. So, January 3, 4, 5, 6, kung ano man yan, sunod-sunod. Kaya ang tawag yan chronological order. And then copy or post the data to the book of accounts called the ledger. And then pagkatapos na malagay naman na sa journal, ilagay naman doon sa ledger, kasi dito na yung ating summary, no? Pagkatapos kung nalagay na dito sa ledger, kukunin mo yung balance at the end of the year, yan na yung ilagay mo sa trial balance. So, ano yung mga important terms po na dapat natin malaman pag dito sa recording process na sinasabi natin? So, we have the account, the detailed record of the changes in particular asset, liability, or owner's equity. So, ito yung mga changes, ito yung mga account na tinitingnan natin, no? Kung may mga changes, may dagdag, may bawas. The ledger is the book holding all the accounts. So, lahat ng accounts nandiyan sa ledger. Kaya yung ledger, no, nakalagay dito mga A, B, C, D. Ito yung mga accounts hanggang letter Z, no? And then we have the journal, no, the chronological record of transactions, and we have the trial balance, the list of all the account with their balances. Okay. So, the accounts are grouped in three broad categories according to the accounting equation. Ano ba yung accounting equation natin? Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. No? So, yan po, yan din na naka-classify yung mga accounts natin. So, meron tayong assets. Assets, ito yung ari-arian natin. Yung liabilities, ito yung utang. Yung owner's equity, ito naman yung ating puhunan, no? Or yung ating capital. Okay. So, assets are economic resources that will benefit the business in the future, or simply something the business owns that has value, no? Kaya nga ari-arian yung assets. May mga pakinabang yan, may mga economic values. Okay, so the cash account is the record of the cash effects of the transactions. Actually, lahat po ng accounts, ang anchor talaga nasa cash, no? So, cash includes money such as bank, balance, paper currency, coins, and checks. So, magalaw po sa lahat ng accounts the cash. Accounts receivable, no? So, most businesses sells goods or services in exchange for a promise of future cash receipts. So, kaya tinatawag siya na accounts receivable. Bakit? Receivable pa lang, hindi pa na-receive, no? Such sales are made on credit. Ibig sabihin, pinautang on account. No? Accounts receivable is the account that holds this amount. Ito yung mga pinautang natin. Ang tawag dyan, accounts receivable. Notes receivable naman, ito yung business may sell goods or services and receive notes receivable or promissory note. So, may kasulatan. A note receivable is a written pledge that the customer will pay a fixed amount of money by a certain date. So, may pinanghahawakan ang seller nung binenta na niya o pinautang ang customer. Ano naman itong prepaid expenses? Ito yung business often pays certain expenses such as rent and insurance in advance. In advance, ibig sabihin, hindi pa siya due pero binayaran na. A prepaid expense is an asset. Ibig sabihin na asset, pag-aari mo pa kasi hindi mo pa dapat bayaran pero since binayaran mo na advance, asset mo pa rin, no? Kasi hindi pa siya gamit. Because the prepayment provides a future benefit. Ang benepisyo na sa iyo pa rin. Prepaid rent, prepaid insurance, and office supplies are separate prepaid expense accounts. No? Land. The land account shows the cost of land a business holds for use in operations. So, land held for sale is different. Its cost is an investment. So, yung land na gagamitin mo sa pagnegosyo mo na pero hindi mo siya binibenta, iba yon, no? Kasi yun yung tinatawag natin na capital assets. Yung ordinary assets naman, yung developer ka, nagbabay and sell ka, binibenta mo yung land, no? So, iba naman yun. So, building, the cost of the building, an office or a warehouse appears in the building account. Kasi itong building na to, ginagamit natin sa business, pero hindi for sale, no? Equipment, furniture, and fixtures, building a separate asset account for each type of equipment. Ano to? Computer equipment, office equipment, store equipment, no? Sila yung mga example. Pagdating naman po sa liabilities, ito yung mga pautang natin, something you owe. Ikaw yung may liability, may obligation to pay, no? So, a business generally has fewer liability accounts than asset accounts. So, dapat lang kasi kung mas marami kang utang, kunti lang yung asset mo, hindi maganda sa isang business, no? Hindi ka solvent. Accounts payable. Accounts payable is the opposite ng accounts receivable. So, to promise to pay a debt arising from a credit purchase is an account payable such as purchase is said to be made on account, no? So, accounts payable, babayaran pa lang, no? Hindi pa binayaran. Notes payable, ito naman yung opposite, yung ng notes receivable. So, notes payable represents debt the business owes because it signed promissory note to borrow money or to purchase something. So, sa notes payable naman, ito yung may pinirmahan ka na babayaran mo pantunay na may inutang ka, no? How about accrued liabilities? Accrued liability is a liability for which the business knows the amount owed but the bill has not been paid. Nandyan na yung, alam mo na yung kung magkano yung babayaran pero hindi pa nabayaran, no? So, ito yung sinasabi natin na taxes payable. Alam na natin kung magkano yung babayaran ng tax pero hindi pa nabayaran. Interest payable, salary payable, no? They are accrued liability accounts, no? So, we also have the owner's equity, no? The owner's claim to the assets of the business is called owner's equity, no? Ito yung claim mo na ikaw yung may-ari o sa iyo yung money na nandyan sa business. A company has separate accounts for the various elements of owner's equity. Capital. So, capital account represents the net investment of the owner in the business. Ano yung net investment niya? tanggalin mo na yung assets, ibawas mo na yung liabilities, yung matira doon, yun yung capital, no? It holds the accumulation of owner's investment, withdrawals, and net income or loss of the business over the life of the business. So, capital is the net worth invested in the business by the owner, no? Ito na yung net worth niya, ito na yung pinaka-excess niya sa assets less liabilities niya, no? So, withdrawals. Owner may withdraw cash or other assets at any time from the company. So, this represents a return of his or her capital investment as well as distribution of earnings from the company. Revenues. Ano naman po itong revenues? Ito yung increase in equity created by delivering goods or services to customer, no? So, ito yung bayad galing sa customer kasi binigyan mo siya ng goods, nag-deliver ka sa kanya ng services, no? So, ledger contains as many revenue accounts as needed. So, iba-ibang klase po ang revenue. Pwedeng sa professional fee, pwedeng sa mga contracting, no? So, if the business rent out a building to a tenant, it needs a rent revenue account. Expenses. Expenses use up assets or create liabilities in the course of operating a business. Expenses have the opposite effect of revenue, no? So, expenses decrease equity. A business needs a separate account for its type of expense, such as salary expense, rent expense, advertising expense, and utilities expense. Okay, so kasunod na po niyan, ano ba yung chart of accounts, no? So for the chart of accounts, we have the assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. Yun yung nasabi natin na grupo ng mga accounts na yan. So for the revenue and expenses, no? Companies use chart of accounts to list all their accounts along with the account numbers, no? So account numbers are just shorthand version of yung code na naka-assign po sa mga numbers, no? So the ledger, assets, liability, and owner's equity account. So ito yun. Meron tayong cash, accounts payable, and then the capital, no? So, ito yung sa cash natin, meron tayong individual asset accounts. So, all the accounts combined make up the ledger. Kasi nandun po sa ledger lahat ng accounts na meron tayo, no? So, meron tayong individual na liability account, meron tayong individual na owner's equity account, and then the individual assets account, nandun po lahat yan sa ledger. So, chart of accounts of this example, the Smart Touch Learning, no? So, we have the balance sheet accounts. Ano yung mga accounts sa balance sheet natin? So, accounts receivable, notes receivable, supplies, furniture, building, or land under assets. Under liabilities, we have the accounts payable, salary payable, internet payable, notes payable. And then sa owner's equity, we have capital and withdrawals. So, dyan na po umiikot yung business natin, yung proseso sa pagre-record natin, yun na yung mga account na ginagamit. So, income statement accounts, part of owner's equity. Ito yung sa revenue natin, we have service income or interest revenue. Sa expenses naman, we have rent expense ng computer, rent expense ng office, salary expense, depreciation expense, utilities expense, advertising expense, and supplies expense, no? So, diyan na din po umiikot yung mga accounts natin sa income. Okay. Accounting uses the double entry system. Ano yung double entry? Ito yung debit and credit, which means that we record the dual effects of its transactions. As a result, every transaction affects at least two accounts. It would be incomplete to record only the giving side or only the receiving side of a transaction. So, hindi pwede na single entry lang yung record mo. Double entry, no? Kung may debit ka, dapat may corresponding credit. A cash purchase of supplies, increase supplies. Why? You receive supplies. Decreases cash. Bakit? Because you gave cash, no? So, a credit purchase of equipment, no? Purchase on account, increase equipment kasi naka-receive ka ng equipment. Pero, nag-increase naman yung accounts payable mo because you gave your promise to pay in the future, no? So, nagdagdagan yung utang mo or accounts payable, no? Sa T account, this is in your ledger, the most widely used form of account is called the T account, no? Because it takes the form of the capital letter T, no? Bakit T? Kasi parang hinatin niya sa gitna, the left side and the right side, na nandoon yung debit and credit, no? Sa dalawang sides na yan. Sa left side, nandoon yung debit. Sa right side, nandoon ang credit. Okay, so the left side of the account is called the debit and the right side is called the credit side. To become comfortable using these terms, remember that debit, left, credit, right. The term debit and credit are deeply entrenched in business. They are abbreviated as follows. DR para sa debit and CR para sa credit, no? Kaya pag may nakita ninyo sa accounting na DR, ibig sabihin niyan debit and then CR, credit. Increases and decreases in the accounts, no? So the account category, asset, liability, equity, governs how we record increases and decreases, no? Actually, yung increases and decreases, yun ang tinitingnan natin why we record our transactions. At yung increases and decreases na yan din po yung sinusundan ng BAR kasi because of the increase in income, dyan at decrease natin doon sa expenses, yung net niyan, yan ang babayaran natin na tax, no? Sa income. Pero doon naman sa VAT at saka sa percentage tax which we call as business tax, after naman sila doon sa total income, no? So for any given account, increases are recorded on one side and decreases are recorded on the opposite side. The following three accounts provide a summary. Increase equals debit, decrease equals credit, no? So decrease equals credit, increase equals debit, no? So yun yung sa left side at saka sa credit side. So these are the rules of debit and credit, no? So in your study of accounting, forget the bank usage of credit and debit. Iba yun sa bangko, no? Because the bank is talking about its books, no? So sa accounting, iba. So the account is increased or decreased by a debit or a credit, depends on the type of account. So debits are not good or bad, neither are credit, no? So debit are not always increases or decreases, neither are credits. So depende kasi sa account. Pwede kasi na yung isang account, pag nag-debit ka, mag-increase siya. Pag nag-credit ka, mag-decrease siya. Pero pwede din on the other side na iba naman yung effect, no? So in a computerized accounting system, the computer interprets debits and credits as increases or decreases based on the account type. For example, a computer reads a debit to a cash as an increase because it is an asset account. The computer reads a debit to accounts payable as a decrease because it is an asset account. So the computer reads a debit to accounts payable as a decrease because it is a liability account, no? So ito po yung ating accounting equation and the rules, no? So pag na-picture nyo na to, at least meron na kayong idea, no? So debits, credits, accounting equation, rules of debit and credit, no? So for the debits, ang assets, pag nag-debit ka, plus, so ibig sabihin ng increase siya, tumataas ang value. Pag nag-credit ka, bumababa na babawasan. Sa credits naman, yung liabilities and owner's equity mo, pag nag-debit ka, bumababa, no? So opposite siya noong debit. Ang debit niya, bumababa siya, pag nag-credit ka, nag-i-increase, no? Yung liabilities and owner's equity, pareho lang. Okay? So the answer, the business assets and equity would increase by 30,000 as the T accounts show. Assets equals liabilities equals owner's equity. So when we say cash, we debit for increase na 30,000 kasi nag-increase tayo ng 30,000 sa ating T accounts. And then sa owner's equity naman, nag-credit tayo, so nag-increase din tayo ng 30,000 kasi nagdagdag tayo ng 30,000 sa ating business. Okay? So, the amount remaining in an account is called its balance, no? The first transactions gives cash 30,000 debit balance and sums to capital at 30,000 credit balance. The second transaction is a 20,000 purchase of land. The accounting equation after smart touch learning, first two transactions, no? So 30,000 kanina na sa capital, and then yung 20,000 na land, no? So after transaction 2, cash as a 10,000 debit na lang. Bakit? Kasi 20,000 yung binawas sa capital na 30,000, no? So land has a debit balance of 20,000 and capital has a 30,000 credit balance. So we create accounts as needed. The process of creating a new account is called opening the account. So for transaction 1, we open the cash account and the capital account. For transaction 2, we open the land account. So ito yung dalawang transactions, no, that we assign the account already, no? So yung capital at saka yung land. The two accounting equation after the first two transactions of smart touch learning would be transactions received 30,000 cash and gave capital, no? So we debit cash 30,000, we credit capital 30,000. And then transaction 2, we paid 20,000 cash to purchase land. So we debit cash 10,000 and then we credit the capital na 30,000. So meron tayong land na 20,000. So balance sila. Kasi yung cash na 10,000 at saka land na 20,000, balance siya sa credit na 30,000. So na-account natin yung 30,000. Steps in the transaction recording process, no? So in practice, accountants record transaction in a journal. The journalizing process has 3 steps. Number 1, identify each account affected and its type, asset, liability, or owner's equity. And the number 2, determine whether each account is increased or decreased, no? So use the rules of debit and credit. And number 3, record the transaction in the journal, including a brief explanation, no? The debit side of the entry is entered first. The total debit should always equal to total credits, no? Kasi pag hindi yan equal, may mali ka, no? So this is also called as making the journal entry or journalizing, no? So pagka nag-journalize ka na, nag-debit ka sa the account on the amount, and then meron ka na kine-credit din na account, no? These steps are the same whether done by computer or manually, no? So yung journalize the first transaction na receipt of 30,000 cash and investment of capital. So ano yung mga accounts affected by the receipt of cash, no? So ito yung issuance of stock or yung capital, no, na cash. So debit cash and then credit capital, no? Okay, so both accounts increased by 30,000. The asset increased with debits and therefore we debit cash because it is an asset. Equity also increases in the credit, so we credit capital. So pareho silang nag-increase, no? So the journal entry includes 4 parts, no? So yung journal entry. So ito yung journal natin. Sabi dito includes 4 parts. Ano yung 4 parts ng journal entry? So we have the date of the transaction. So here is the date of the transaction. Title of the account. So ito yung title ng account. Title of the account debited. Ito. Ang title of the account credited, no? And then brief explanation of the transaction. So ito yung brief transaction of the transaction. So ito yung date, no? Ito yung date. Ito yung title ng account. Ito yung account debited, ito yung account credited, ito yung explanation. Okay? So ito po yung example natin ng journal page, no? Debit cash 30,000 and credit capital of 30,000, no? Ang explanation diyan natin is the owner's investment. Nag-invest yung may-ari. And then the accounting equation includes revenues and expenses, no? So assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity plus capital, plus revenue minus expenses, minus withdrawals. So, yan po yung laman ng owner's equity. Ano laman ng owner's equity? Capital, plus revenues, minus expenses, minus withdrawals equals capital. No? Yun ang working capital. Okay, so yun po yung accounting process or yung recording process po na gagawin natin pag nag-record po tayo ng ating business transactions. Okay? So with that, I would like to say thank you sa ating mga YouTubers. Please continue to subscribe and we promise to bring you more updates in taxation. Thank you and good day.